Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of my FM22 beta save with Inter Milan. And since the first episode, we have, of course, advanced through to being ready for the first game of the Serie A season. We've also made a few transfers and there's been a few outgoings as well. We'll run through all of those today before getting into the live com against Verona. And I believe, is it Empoli? Would help if I click the right thing. It is, yes, Verona and Empoli. So we start away against Verona and then at home to Empoli. Quickly run through the fixtures since I'm on this screen already. We comfortably beat our second 11 3-1, drew 0-0 with our rivals Milan, then beat Crotone 3-0, drew 1-1 with Lugano, beat Ajax 3-0 and won 1-0 against FC Porto, leading in to today's game against Verona. But as I said, few things to get through before we get to those games. And one of those is running through a couple of new contracts that I've given out. So Marcelo Brozovic is one of our better players. He was, I think he was wanted by a few clubs and his contract was expiring at the end of the season. So we've signed him to a new deal, 120k per week. He's one of our starting centre midfielders and he is very good. You can see in his stats here, very balanced player, lots of yellows, but very good passing and first touch as well. And then the other new contract is to a player who is getting on a bit, but doesn't seem to be losing too much in terms of his attributes at the moment. 37-year-old Samir Handanovic, our first choice goalkeeper currently, has been signed to, he's signed a 1-year extension basically for 98k per week. He was on 97k per week, so it's just a slight increase in wage for him. Now, there are a few players who are currently wanted by other clubs, including Lautaro Martinez, who is our best striker at the club. He's got a release clause of £95 million, so unless someone reaches that, I'm not going to be very likely to sell him. But you can see the big name teams that are interested in him there. Newcastle as well, obviously with money. We've already had some transfer dealings with them, but we'll get onto that in a couple of minutes. And another man who has been eyed up by another club is Nicolo Barella. He is wanted by Manchester United and he wants to move there. So there could be some transfer movement on that front, in which case we might have to bring in another centre midfielder. Now, one of the first things that I did when I stopped recording the first video was look at the staff and see where we needed to improve. And I found that we needed to improve in all the goalkeeping areas. They were quite a lot lower than this. And then also in the fitness, mental and tactical and people management. And we've managed to get them up to being the highest average in the league. Haven't managed that with the goalkeeping, but the goalkeeping was around like 3/4 of the full bar when we finished recording the last episode. And same with the scouting. We've sacked a few scouts because we had too many and they weren't very good. They had judging potential and current ability of about 13, 14 compared to, if I show you, the rest of the recruitment team who have, let me go to the right thing, who have 17s, basically 16 I think is the lowest that we've got in terms of the scout's best attribute, if you get what I mean. The ones that I got rid of weren't that good. They had 13s and 14s, like I said. Now for transfers, and another one of the first things that I did was transfer list a lot of the older players who were on way too much money and weren't going to really necessarily be regular starters. So Ivan Perisic is one of those transfer listed players. He has moved to PSG for £4.5 million. He was on 125k per week with us and he wasn't going to start, so why not try and get that money freed up in the wage budget, was my thinking. And I don't think he's one of the ones that we're paying any wages for. There is one player, I believe, who we've agreed to pay a contribution of his wages just to get rid of him. And it's not that much money compared to how much he was actually on when he was with us. Another man that's left us is Alexander Kolarov. He's moved to Villarreal for just £250,000. Another player who's getting on. He's 35 years old. He's obviously had a great career, but he's coming to the end of it now. And he was on 91k per week. Didn't really want to be paying that for him. So he's out the door as well. Nice bit of money in for him. Arturo Vidal, same as the previous ones. He's gone to Newcastle United for 1.8 million. A bit of a steal for them, I would say. They're paying him £100,000 per week. He was on 81 £30,000 per week with us. So we're contributing a little bit to his wage packet. £31,000, but that's only until his contract would have been up, so it's only until the end of the season. So we've managed to knock about 50 grand off that and get that back into the club coffers. And then the rest of the outgoings that you can see on the right hand side here is just a few loans for some youth prospects like Satriano. Collegio, he's not really a youth prospect. He's probably one that I'm going to get rid of at some point in the future. We have an offer for a young player who isn't really going to develop into anything. And we've sent one of our other youth prospects, Nikola Iliev. He's a bit of a wonder kid, actually. I'll click on him, show you him. Bulgarian national. He looks pretty decent for a 17-year-old. Apparently, according to my coach, he is going to, where is he? He should really be highlighted here. He's going to be a possible 4-star player, maybe, well, definitely a 3-star player. So he's going to be pretty decent. Just have to see how he develops. And then the final outgoing is Cesare Casade, who is another one of our youth players who wasn't really going to turn into anything. Gone for 180k. Nice bit of money there. Now for the incomings, and the first signing that I made was this. Rodrigo signed on loan from Real Madrid. The attacking midfielder was on the transfer list at Real Madrid, and I believe he was on the loan list as well. So we've brought him in for the season. We do have an option to buy him for 38 million, I think it is. Yeah, we've got an optional future fee of £38.5 million. We're paying a monthly fee of £150,000, which I think works out to about £1.5 million for the entirety of the loan. We're paying 100% of his wages, which is £130,000 per week. So he is one of the high rollers, but I'd rather pay that amount of money for a good young player who is going to develop a bit. And we might hopefully, if we do it well enough this season, have the money to buy him outright at the end of the season, than I would be paying that amount of money for a 35-year-old who's coming towards the end of his career. The second signing is Edu Exposito from Eibar. A bit of an odd one, this. He's been brought in for a centre midfield. I felt we needed a bit more backup at centre midfield. We had about 3 centre midfielders. If you take out the players that I've been trying to get rid of, still trying to get rid of some players, they might be staying now. But Edu Exposito looks like a decent player, decent all-rounder. He's not gonna be a world beater, but he's a good squad player, I would say. And the third incoming is from Fiorentina. Alexa Terzic has been brought in. He is a left back, but we will obviously be playing him at left wing back. I say obviously, you haven't even shown you the tactic yet, so you don't know that. He's been brought in for £4.5 million, possibly rising to £6.25 million, with some clauses in about league appearances and international appearances and all that sort of jazz. He looks very good. He's only 22 years old, plenty of room to develop. His crossing is decent for a left wing back, which would be helpful. Dribbling's not too bad either. And then his defensive attributes are pretty good as well. His marking and tackling of both 12. Marking, I can see there, has gone up since he joined as well, which is always a good thing. So Alexa Terzic is the first incoming from Fiorentina, and Bartolomei Dragowski is the second incoming from Fiorentina. A young goalkeeper. He's 2.5 stars currently, and I think he's got room to develop. He looks pretty good already. His handling of 14 is very nice. He's got good aerial reach, good command of area, a pretty good all-round goalkeeper. He's quite tall as well, good jumping reach, which is what you want for a keeper. He has been brought in, as I said, from Fiorentina, and we paid £8.5 million for him, possibly rising to £10.5 million depending on league appearances once again. I think I've been quite good with the money that we've spent. We, of course, only had a £17 million transfer budget. After the sales, we had about 20 million to spend. I think we've still got 5 million left in the transfer budget. There's a couple of positions that I am looking at, but I'm not desperate to get anyone in for. So if we take a look at the squad screen and we'll arrange it like that. So goalkeeper, that's pretty much sorted now. I do want to try and get rid of Alex Cordes. He is on the transfer list. He's the second 38-year-old that we've got in the squad for some reason. However, we're struggling to sell him. Nobody seems to want him. I'm probably going to have to try and sell him on a free, but even then, I'm not sure if anyone is going to want an aging goalkeeper who's only rated at 2 stars. His wages aren't that bad, so if you was to get an offer from a lower league team, it would be probably up to whether he wants to go there, because I imagine they'd be able to afford his wages. At right back, I think we're pretty solid. Danilo D'Ambrosio is another one I'm trying to get rid of. He's 32, I think. He he rejected a loan deal with Porto. He was all, well, we were all ready for him to go, but he rejected the deal, so he's still lingering around. We're still trying to get rid of him. We've obviously got Darmian and Dumfries. Dumfries is going to be our starting right wing back this season. Then Andrea Ranocchia, a centre-back that we're trying to get rid of as well. We've already got quite a few centre-backs in the squad. We've got, it says 3 there, but I'm pretty sure I've got another one. Have I got another one? Maybe I haven't got another one. Maybe I should get a centre-back. Centre-back was one of the positions that I was looking at getting someone in for, so perhaps I do need to do that. Of course, it could be the case that Andrea Ranocchia doesn't leave, in which case we will have the 4 centre-backs, but possibly a good idea to get another one in. I hadn't thought of that. At left wing-back, we've got Alexa Terzic. We've only got the one left wing-back, but Federico Di Marco can play there. He was going to be our first choice, but he's picked up a bit of an injury heading into the opening game of the season, so he'll not be starting today. In centre midfield, we're pretty covered. We do have Vecino, who I'm trying to get rid of in that position. He is transfer listed as well, but having the same issues as everyone else that has been transfer listed and not left already. Hakan Çalhanoğlu picked up a bit of an injury, so he's out for 2 to 5 days. He's going to be our starting left winger. So we've got Joaquin Correa, who's currently on loan but is signing permanently at the end of the season from Lazio, who will be playing there. I'm sort of running through the squad here, but I'll do a full run through before we get to the start of our first game. And then Rodrigo, of course, can play anywhere in the attacking midfield side. Alexis Sanchez is another one I'm trying to get rid of, 32 years old. He's on £175,000 a week. I'm trying to sell him with a selling team wage contribution, and it's just not working. If anyone's got any ideas on how I can try and sell Alexis Sanchez and make a little bit of money, please let me know in the comment section down below. It's proven a struggle at the minute. And then up front, we've got 2 options, but we do have some youth options as well if it comes to it. Of course, as I said, Lautaro Martinez he's getting interest from lots of big clubs, so we might have a bit of money to spend by the end of this episode, because I'm pretty sure we run through to deadline day, just about deadline day, by the time our second game will be over. Now, one thing that I did want to mention is something that I've found very helpful when looking at players and finding out if they're worth getting or not. So there's this, I think it's a new thing, but I'm using Raheem Sterling as an example. He's not coming. We do not have the money for that. But this button here, discuss interest with agent. So you can click it and you can say that you're interested. I've found that it's best to say you're either very interested or interested, because if you just say you're curious, you'll get less information. So we're going to say we're interested in Raheem Sterling. And then it comes up, well, this one comes up saying he's not interested in joining us. It still tells us what sort of value, but we already know that from the transfer value. But generally, if it's a player that is interested in you, the agent will tell you what wages he wants, if he's interested in joining, also what squad rule he would want if he was to sign as well. I found it really helpful, and just a little tip that I thought might be helpful to others as well. But now, after all that, it is time for our first game of the season. So we will go through to the tactics screen and I'll show you the tactic that I've made. It's a very basic one. So here it is. We've got 3 tactics saved. So 2 of them are the 5-2-3 with wing backs playing wide, and one of them is something a bit alternative. That's still a 5 at the back, but it's a 5-2-1-2. It's for games where we're struggling to make the breakthrough and we need to bring Edin Dzeko on. Basically, Edin Dzeko, obviously one of our agent players as well. He wouldn't be playing in attacking centre midfield, but he would be partnered up front with Lautaro Martinez. That's the plan anyway. But in this game against Verona, as the tactic says here, Inter should win. So we have the following things on. What are they called? Tactical things? Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. So we're trying to play out the defence. We have a higher tempo and we are being more expressive. Simply feel like in games when we can dominate, we should be trying to have a bit more creative freedom. It's what I want the players to do. And then in transition, we are going to be distributing to the flanks. Obviously, we've got the wing backs running up and down. We've also got the wingers. And we are going to counter, and distribute quickly to try and get them on the break, basically. Now, out of possession, I feel like we should have the better defence as well. So we've got 3 defenders. So a higher defensive line, higher line of engagement obviously goes with the counter pressing when we lose the ball. And we're also going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution, which just goes along with that as well. Now, in terms of the lineup, now we of course have an injury to Çalhanoğlu, as I previously mentioned, but we also have a suspension. Lautaro Martinez is suspended for one match, so Edin Dzeko is going to have to start for us today. And the rest of the team is as follows. We've got Handanovic in goal, we've got Skriniar, Bastoni, and Stefan de Vrij in central defence. Dumfries on the right wing-back role, Terzic on the left wing-back role, Brozovic and Barella in midfield, Rodrigo on the right wing, Correa on the left wing, and Edin Dzeko up front, as I already said. We're going to change some of these player rules as well, because I noticed the defenders are pretty much all on, or at least two of them are on central defence. So we're going to change Bastoni to a ball-playing defender. That's his favoured role. And in fact, we will make de Vrij a libero, because he seems to like playing there, and it gives us extra cover for if these two make a mistake on the outside, de Vrij can sweep up any errors. And then we'll stick Barella on a centre midfield with support role. He was a Roman playmaker, but he's not very comfortable as there, or is not as comfortable as in other roles that he can play in centre midfield. And in fact, because we've got Edin Dzeko, we're going to change our approach for this game compared to what we would normally do. So Dzeko's going to be a target forward. We are going to, if I make sure I click the right thing, which I do, we're going to float crosses because I feel like he should be winning the ball in the box. We're not going to hit early crosses, but we will float them in, hopefully, to Edin Dzeko. So because our squad is so small, I mean, you're only allowed 25 players registered in Serie A anyway, but we've got 3 goalkeepers on the bench today because Eriksson is obviously unavailable because of what happened at the Euros, and then the injury and the suspension to Çalhanoğlu and Lautaro Martinez has affected us as well. But I think we're pretty well set up. Hopefully this is going to be a good start to the season. So we'll submit our team. Correa and Dzeko are lacking in match sharpness, may struggle to see out the match. That's one thing I need to look at, to be fair. Do we have anyone that can play up front on the bench? We do. Okay. Well, Sanchez obviously can. He's still here. So it could be a blessing in disguise that we've still got some of the transfer listed players at the moment. But we'll submit the team as we were going to do. Good news, Brozovic, Terzic, Skriniar are all familiar tactically with the formation. So that's a positive, and the team instructions of being more expressive suit Marcelo Brozovic's vision of how football should be played. So not much changed in terms of the team talk for this year's game. So I'll probably not really run through these in much detail moving forward. So here we go. Away from home at Verona. I missed the name of their stadium. They've got a very defensive formation. They're playing almost 6 at the back with a defensive midfielder compared to our 5 at the back. They're obviously expecting an onslaught from the reigning, defending Serie A champions. We've had a few games played already this season so far. Fiorentina and Napoli, the 2 teams to pick up victories in the games thus far. We are in our white away kit today, as obviously it would be a colour clash with Verona, and I need to make sure that I've got the right highlights on. We've got extended highlights. We do not want that. We want key highlights. Sounds are off. Cool. I might change the camera. I think sideline probably gives you the best view of how our tactics are working, I think. So we'll go with that view for now. See how that gets on. This kickoff highlight is probably just for the extended one. As Barella has the ball, he plays it nicely to Rodrigo. Be nice if we get a goal in the opening seconds of the game. Rodrigo running down the right-hand side. I have to say the match engine looks to be flowing a lot nicer this year. I know they've made lots of changes to animations and such so that it shouldn't look like players are just floating. And it's looking good. Brozovic with the ball in, headed away by Barak. So Sutalo clears for Verona, but Bastoni's got it at the back. One of our central defenders today moving forward with it nicely. Ball-playing defender, I think he is, if I remember rightly. He's just passing it amongst himself and Terzic on this left-hand side. Terzic plays it back to Bastoni. Just have to make sure we keep possession, which we do nicely. Barella's in a bit of space. He shoots and he's hit the post. Nicolo Barella, that bit of freedom that he needed in the centre of the field. No one coming close to him, but he just hits the upright. So it's half time, and we have been peppering Verona's goal. We've had 11 shots, 8 on target. They've only been allowed 1 shot. We've dominated possession as well. It looks like the sort of game where they could easily just snatch a goal and take victory from us, but we'll see how it goes in the second half. Now, we've got a few issues with our 2 wingers. They're not playing great. We've got 6.4 for Correa, 6.5 for Rodrigo. We do have Sanchez on the bench who could come on for one of them. It's just whether I do that. Do I do that? Do we bring Sanchez on for Correa, or do we think we give him a little bit longer? I'm gonna do an individual team talk to Correa and Rodrigo, and we're gonna try and encourage them. I'm saying not being good enough so far, get it together. So it seemed to motivate Correa. Rodrigo's looking composed. We'll see how that does to their performance in the second half. And it's not done much for their performance, so one of them is gonna have to come off. I was originally going to take Correa off, but he reacted better to the team talk. So we're going to... What do I try switching them first? I think we'll try switching them. So give them to about 75 minutes. And then if nothing's happened, we'll take one of them off. And it's 75 minutes already, nothing's happened. So we will take one of them off. And we're going to bring on Sanchez. And we're going to take off Rodrigo because he's having a terrible time out there. And we're going to go more attacking as well. I feel like a win is there for the taking for us. We'll confirm those changes. Do a bit of shout as well. And to the entire team, demand more. Here we go. A chance, but it could possibly be a chance for Verona. Caprari's got the ball on the edge of the box. It's Kalinic, now Veloso. Pushing them back into their own defence. It'd be great if we could win the ball now. Kalinic plays it down to the right-hand side for Verona. Surely not. Surely not. It's off the post. And it's going to get cleared. So both hit the post now. And the highlights are coming thick and fast as we head into the final 5 minutes of the game. Dumfries with a long ball forward. It was searching, really. Nobody was going to get any end of that. Sutala's got it at the back for Verona. He finds Gunter. The defenders just passing it amongst themselves. Hopefully we can win the ball back. They do a sloppy pass. Brozovic wins it back. Bastoni's got it now, the centre-back, running forward with it. Finds Alexis Sanchez out wide to Terzic, who heads that back towards Sanchez, but that's headed away. Fortunately, Bastoni's got it. Sweeps up the mess. Plays it to Terzic, the left wing back to Bastoni. Nice passing play. Alexis into the box. Dzeko's there with a header and it's off the bar this time. The woodwork is our enemy. And we get to full time and it's 0-0. What a disappointing result. Look at the stats. 24 shots, 12 on target, but no goals. You could really tell that we didn't have Lautaro Martinez today. Dzeko had a pretty decent game, to be fair to him, but he just doesn't offer the same thing as Lautaro Martinez does, and the way that our team had to play as well to sort of fit into his style. So that result leaves us currently 8th in the table after one game. Some encouraging signs, but I think it shows we possibly need another striker for backup for when Lautaro Martinez is injured or suspended. Elsewhere, I think we did pretty well, to be honest. Pretty solid defensively. We didn't let much past us. But it's just scoring goals. We had so many opportunities. We just didn't get a goal in the end. And Empoli, our second opponent for today, they haven't played yet, so they're currently 12th. So we are signing a centre-back. Sonali Diamande is coming to the club. £3 million. He is a young centre-back with a great potential, I would say. We'll take a look at him now. So his defensive attributes are very nice. Heading of 15. Marking of 13, tackling of 13, passing of 12 is pretty decent as well. So he's a bit of a ball-playing defender, 6 foot tall, decent overall stats, very balanced player, and he is pretty much in the bag. All we have to do is click accept, and he's only on 20.5 grand. So that's quite cheap compared to some players. You can see that his wage can go up to 52k if he plays 20 games for us, which hopefully he will do. Just a bit of backup at centre-back, as I realised we were a bit lacking in that department. We've had some bad news on the goalkeeping front. Now, one of the drawbacks of having such an old player is that he might be more likely to get injured, and that is the case with Samir Handanovic. He has twisted his ankle. He's going to be out for between 3 to 4 weeks, as we're going to choose for him to go with a physio. Bit disappointing, but of course, thankfully, we brought in Dragovski, who can take his place. Hopefully, he can manage with the extra pressure. Obviously, wasn't wanting him to start so early. And it's all coming thick and fast. It's the Champions League group stage draw right now, so let's go and take a look. We'll do a slightly quick draw. We'll see where we end up. We are one of the top seeds, obviously, because we won Serie A. So we are in Group H. Who are we going to get? It's between Dortmund and Sevilla. It's going to be Sevilla. And then we've got Red Bull Salzburg. That's a pretty okay one. And the fourth team to join us is Monaco. So Sevilla, Salzburg and Monaco. I feel like that is more than achievable to get out of that group, and probably we should be favourites to top that group, I would think. Here we are. It is time for the second game of the episode, the game against Empoli. Obviously our first home game of the season, but we do have a few changes to make to the team. Some forced, some chosen. Handanovic, of course, is injured, so he's going to have to drop out of the team for Bartolomeu Dragowski. We also want to bring Lautaro Martinez back into the team for Edin Dzeko. Dzeko is going to go on the bench. He can replace, D'Ambrosio is no longer registered, so really I should move him to the under-20s. We only have space for 25 players. We've signed Tonali Diamande. He has been registered instead. So D'Ambrosio drops to the under-20s squad. And Handanovic is going to have to drop out of the squad completely. We'll bring Çalhanoğlu in there. Çalhanoğlu just recovering from injury. I would rather him play than Correa. But I think we'll just have him on the bench for now. Same with DeMarco. He's just coming back from injury as well. So we're going to put Lautaro Martinez as pressing forward on attack. Elsewhere, I don't think we need to make any changes. Goalkeeper's happy with his rule. Tactics-wise, we do need to make some changes because we're not going to be floating crosses into Lautaro Martinez. We're going to change that back to mixed crosses. I think I'm happy with everything else. So we do have a few injured players on the bench. Players that are just recovering from injury. So Sensi, he's completing his rehabilitation tomorrow. Returning to full training tomorrow, sorry. Same as Gagliardini. And as I said, Çalhanoğlu and DeMarco both recovering from recent injuries, so they're not in the side today. So only the two changes to personnel for today's game, and we'll hope for better than we did in the last one. And before we get there, D'Ambrosio is wanting to know why I placed him in the under-20s. So let's have this fun conversation right now, shall we? You have no future at the club. That seems a bit harsh. I simply believe your best days are behind you and you no longer warrant a place in the first team picture. I mean, they're both harsh. You can't really... I'm just going to be honest. You've got no future, mate. Got something left to offer. Don't deserve this sort of treatment. I hear you, but my decision's final. See you later. Hopefully that doesn't cause issues with the rest of the team. Okay, so most of the players are pretty happy with the tactical instructions and everything. Çalhanoğlu lacks tactical familiarity with the formation because he's been injured. And same with Exposito because he's a new signing. But otherwise, pretty pleased with that. And Empoli look like they've changed tactic from what they did last time out. So apparently they had a defensive midfielder last time, so they were more defensive. So they're going a bit more attacking, but still quite a defensive formation, 5-3-2. Hopefully we can exploit it. So here we go. Our first home game at the Giuseppe Meazza, or the San Siro, whatever you want to call it. World-renowned stadium. And hopefully we're going to see an Inter victory at home to Empoli today. Now we are currently 13th after one game. Empoli are 17th. We obviously drew our first game. Empoli lost 2-0 to Genoa. Here we go, first chance of the game. It's Brozovic with a free kick, whips it in. Bastoni's at the back post and it's off the bar from Bastoni, the centre-back. Good opportunity there. Highlights coming thick and fast early on in the game for this one. Obviously it was later in the game when we got a few highlights last time out, but it's Empoli with the ball in defence. Marquisa just inside his own box, slowly deciding what he wants to do with it. Plays it out to the left-back, Paganini. And Marquisa gets it back. It'd be nice for us to win the ball high up here. That hopefully they don't beat our press. Obviously, we are the better side, so we are trying to press them a little bit. I'm not sure we're too comfortable with it. Lautaro won the ball back once and then twice. And plays that to Rodrigo, and we could have a chance here. Barella through to Lautaro. No, it's Barella with a shot, and it's off the bar again. Twice in the space of 5 minutes. Free kick just inside our half for Empoli. Haas has it. Long ball down the right to Stojanovic. Gets past our defender. Ball in the box. Cutrone's there. It's off the bar. And it's headed away by Skriniar. We're 2-1 in terms of woodwork attempt today. Empoli do seem to be having more opportunities than Verona did against us. We're still having the same issue of not being able to get a goal. Can that change now with this free kick? Brozovic to take it. The man who's just signed a new contract, a 4-year contract. It's off the wall. But he's going to get it back. A chance to get a ball in, possibly. Whips it to Skriniar at the back post, the centre-back. He plays it back to Dumfries. Now it's Skriniar again. De Vries, Lautaro, beautiful pass, and Rodrigo, Correa, and it's 1-0. First goal of our era in charge of Inter Milan. And Joaquin Correa has got our opening goal. His first ever goal for us, of course. He's on loan from Lazio, signing permanently at the end of the season. And it was a beautiful finish, a beautifully worked move. De Vries, Lautaro, Rodrigo, one touch until Rodrigo got it. He had to take 2 touches, and then Correa with the simple finish. And we get to half time and I'm a bit happier. We have a lead for all of our efforts on target, unlike last time against Verona. But Correa's got the ball on the left-hand side. He's got one goal already today. Could he be turned creator after getting that goal? But Bastoni running forward with it, finds Terzic, the left wing-back, back to Bastoni, the centre-back, who's very high up the field. Ball to the back post. Rodrigo's there. Chested to Lautaro when it's blocked by the defender and cleared eventually by Henderson. But we come back with the ball now. Denzel Dumfries, the right wing back, running down this right-hand side. Can he get a ball in? He can. Correa's there again and it's off the bar again. That's 3 times. Now, if that keeps on happening, I'm going to think there's something up with the shots hitting the woodwork in the beta save. But we'll keep an eye on it. As you see, we are currently top of the table as things stand. Bastoni finds Brozovic. Now Terzic. Back to the original free kick taker, Bastoni. Just looking for the space to open up Empoli's defence. Terzic, can he be the man to do it? He skips past the defender. Ball in. Lautaro's there. It's off the post again and it's cleared. 4 times we've hit the post now, I think. Maybe even 5. Empoli have hit it once as well. Or the crossbar, the woodwork. 75 minutes gone and we are going to make a change. We are going to give Federico DiMarco some game time. Terzic is not having a great game. He's on a 6.5. And DiMarco is the man who I was planning on being our starting left wing back this season. So he can come into the squad. De Vrij is another man who's not doing too well, but I don't really want to take him off. He's a solid player. I know that he can do a job. So he's obviously just having a bad game as Terzic just got the ball on the left-hand side and that is blocked for a corner and will probably be his last action of the game, I would imagine, as he's about to be subbed. A few minutes left. We'll make a few changes just to rest the players a little bit. So Correa is looking a bit tired out there. So we'll give Çalhanoğlu a couple of minutes as well, recovering from injury. And I've just missed the goal, I think. Is it a penalty? No, it's a penalty, apparently. Yes, we've got a penalty. So Lautaro Martinez to make it 2-0 just before full time. Steps up and he takes it, smashes it to the left-hand side. The goalkeeper's right and it's 2-0. Lautaro Martinez with his first goal of the season. The man who was wanted by so many of the top clubs in Europe has got his opening goal for the campaign and it's a beautifully struck penalty right into the bottom left-hand side of the goal. Apologies for the fact that you missed the penalty instant that led up to that, but we're winning, so it doesn't really matter. And we could get a 30 with Çalhanoğlu, the ball in. Lautaro's there, and it's a second. 3-0. We are running away with it now. Lautaro Martinez doing a little sort of weird dance as well to celebrate, but we'll let him do what he wants because he scored 2 goals today. Çalhanoğlu with a beautiful ball at the back post and Lautaro Martinez with an excellent header. I've seen a few YouTubers have goals like that scored both against and for them. The ball to the back post seems to be a bit of a win in this year's game. But speaking of wins, we've won 3-0. Our first win of the season. Excellent result. We bossed the game again. And it's more than what we deserved. Not more than what we deserved. It's exactly what we deserved. So that result takes us up to the top of the table. There's quite a few teams that haven't played their second game yet. But Juve, or Zebra, as they are currently known, have played 2 games and they've only got 3 points, so we're ahead of them already, which is nice to see. Milan are our closest rivals, both geographically and in terms of the league at the moment. They are our second, but they've also played both games and only got 3 points, so we are in a pretty decent position despite the fact we only drew our first game of the season. So looking ahead to the next episode, I think we're going to come back for the games against Lazio in Serie A and Red Bull Salzburg in the Champions League. In the meantime, we do have an offer out, I can't remember if I've said this already, for Andrea Bellotti as another backup option at striker. 1.9 million is what we've agreed. Could rise to 2.7 million. He wants 80k per week, but he's also expecting offers from other teams, these teams in particular. So I'm not sure if he's going to sign or not. You'll find out in the next episode. Deadline day is 2 days away, and we won't have much money to spend if that deal does go through. You can see that'll be pretty much all of our budget gone. We do need to try and offload a few players as well to get our wage budget back under control, but hopefully we can do that. But that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to stay notified, and I'll see you next time for some more Inter Milan.